What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Liverpool away at Anfield in the Premier League this weekend. This is your match preview. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah, absolutely massive game. I think it's so important we have I think this kind of game to build on that performance we got on Wednesday, to build the confidence slowly throughout the season. I think if we can get a result in this game, it'll be so massive morale boosting result to really show that maybe we've turned a corner this season. Obviously, we've got our Liverpool team who have won 7 of their 8 games.
Yeah.
But do you think that maybe their results have been better than their performances this season, despite them having they're top of the league? Obviously, we're 13 points behind already after 9 games. But I feel like obviously, look, they're one of the best. They're probably, you could argue, they're the best team in Europe at the moment. Yeah, no arguments about that. But this season, have they been as good as they were last season?
I mean, I felt at the beginning of last season that their performances weren't warranted of their results as well. But I think Liverpool are kind of one of these teams now that they're so hard to break down, albeit that their defence isn't as good as it was last season. I still think they're a very, very hard team to break down. They've got such quality on the counter-attack. They have such quality in midfield now with Fabinho, Henderson playing well, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, Firmino, that kind of is the glue to their attack. I think they're such a good team. Maybe their performances are kind of not up there to what they were kind of in the middle or to the back end of last season. But I think, look, like you said, they're probably the best team in Europe at the moment.
But there are games, for example, Sheffield United away, when they played, they got very lucky in that game. Norwich, they conceded a lot of chances, but they did win 4-1. But Sheffield United, they got very lucky with was a massive mistake from the keeper. They only won 1-0. Leicester, at home, they got a penalty in the 93rd minute, which was a very soft penalty, and they should have really drawn that game.
Yeah.
Man United, and they didn't win last game. They could have lost that game, even though they dominated. But you've got to say, Man United put in a very spirited performance and could have gained 3 points. It wasn't for a mistake. So their performances, show a bit of encouragement. They're not unbeatable.
Yeah, look, nobody's unbeatable. Let's be honest. It's a game of 11 on 11. Anyone can beat anyone in the Premier League, especially. But when you look at Liverpool, I think it's just a case of they're so good, and like sometimes when you're that good, you create your own luck, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Especially with like last minute. Remember when like Man United in the 90s, like how many times did they play poorly and like get that winner in the last minute? And that's what good teams do, and that's what Liverpool are doing at the moment. And I think it's just a testament to how good they are.
I think one of their most underrated players, in my opinion, who doesn't get enough credit, is Gigi Wijnaldum.
Definitely.
I really, really like the look of him. You see him for Holland when he plays further forward.
Scores a lot of goals as well.
Yeah, gets so many more goals and assists. He plays a bit more of a deeper role for Liverpool because they like that 3 in the midfield. But he still does contribute, especially this season. He seems to be contributing more goals. But I think him and Fabinho as well, I think, has really come on since he has a bit of a slow start to his Liverpool career.
Yeah.
But I think he's honestly one of the best.
Start by injuries at the beginning, wasn't he?
He's one of the best DMs now in the league, and one probably in Europe. And I think that's what I'm worried about in midfield, having that control in midfield. If we go with, we have our predicted lineup in another video, but if we go with a double pivot of Tongi and Moussa Sissoko, I think that's the way to go. If Dele does drop back when we're out of possession, he needs to be contributing in that midfield, because they're gonna have 3 of Fabinho, probably Fabinho, Wijnaldum, and Henderson or Milner, one of the two, who are very hard working, have that creativity with Wijnaldum, and they bully teams in that midfield 3. They like to dominate possession. And then what they're very good at is winning the ball in your half and then quick transitions. That's which Spurs used to be good at, not so much anymore. And we're going to have to really be careful about that, because if we're having Sissoko and Tongi in possession, especially someone like Tongi who likes to hold on to the ball and likes to dribble a bit, he's going to have to be very careful against those 3. That's why I'm not thinking he will start Winks, or should, but that would be the argument for having someone like Harry Winks, because he would add a bit more control midfield. He would add a player who's more likely to beat the press than someone like Dele Alli, who's more likely to hold on to the ball too much and maybe get caught. That would be the argument of having someone like Harry Winks in the team. The
problem I have with putting Harry Winks in the team at the moment, I just feel that he's losing the ball a bit too much. He's a bit careless on the ball at the moment.
But you say the same about Dele Alli. At least he's losing it in the final third.
That's what I'm saying. You can say the same about Dele Alli, but Dele Alli can actually do another job for the team when Harry Winks can't really do that job. You've got a player like Harry Winks who kind of he does go forward, but this season, like especially at the start, all he was doing was passing sideways and going backwards. Then he had a little bit of a period of playing a bit better, but now he's kind of drifted. He's had a couple of performances drifting back into the kind of just the sideways and backwards passing and losing the ball a lot. I think against Watford he was dreadful. I think he lost the ball so many times. It was unbelievable. And if he has a performance like that up at Anfield, then that can spell like real big problems for us.
The only worry I would have with Dele Alli is he has to kind of be really sharp and on it.
Yeah.
If for this game, if we're going to really benefit from him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like he could become a bit of a passenger. And I feel like if he is on it, if he's at his top level where he's beating people, his things are turning out for him, these flicks and stuff are coming off, then I think he's a real asset to have. But if it gets to the stage where we start him and things aren't coming off and he's losing the ball a bit and becoming a bit passenger, then I worry a bit whether he could be more a detriment to the team. That's the worry I have with Dele Alli. Although I feel like his performances are improving, he's getting better. I just worry a bit in that sense.
Yeah, but for me, I put Dele in there because Dele strives in these big games. Dele's a big game player, that's for sure. I think he's much better in the big games than he is in the small games. I think he gets much more up for it. Having said that, he hasn't played well in a big game for a while now, so it's hard to say. I think against Red Star Belgrade, he was okay, not amazing. Against Watford, I thought he come on the last 10 minutes. Really was that central man to the attack, and we're going to need to see a lot more a better performance by a long way from those two performances against Liverpool if we're going to see any good signs.
Where do you think Liverpool's weakest spots are going into this game? Where can we target?
Definitely in behind the fullbacks. I think their fullbacks bomb forward a lot, so there's definitely space in behind there. Their back line obviously plays very high up the pitch, so we can get in behind their defence. I think if we're going to play through the middle, it's going to be tough with Fabinho and Wijnaldum in the middle there, especially if Milner plays as well, because he's just
a workhorse.
Yeah. But look, I think the space will come in behind, especially when we have Son and Lamela on the wings.
Son has to be in the
or
key
Lucas.
This kind of game. Or yeah, Son maybe
Lucas ran them ragged last year.
That's true. Lucas had a great game last season at Anfield, and he was he scored. He got on the score sheet, played on the wing, I believe, but. I think Son really is going to be the key to this game. If we can find Son in dangerous positions, we could really hurt Liverpool. Yeah. And the thing with Liverpool is because they're in such good form, they're going to be full of confidence. They won in midweek 3-0. Lovely goal. I don't know if you saw about Oxlade-Chamberlain from
two lovely goals, but the second
and
one was
maybe he might even start as well. Can't rule that out.
He would love a goal against us. He used to score against us quite a lot for Arsenal, didn't he?
Did he? Oxlade-Chamberlain?
He scored a few goals against us, yeah.
Yeah, he scored. Did he? Can't remember. Yeah, but I think they're going to be full of confidence. They're not going to change their game for us. I don't think. I don't think they're going to edit their lineup. They're going to think that, considering the form we're in, they're going to think it's. If they drop points in this game, it's going to be a bad result. So they're going to be going all out for the win. A bit like last season where they were very attacking. And it always seems to be a tight game at Anfield between Spurs and Liverpool. However things are going, always seems to be a very close game. And I just think they're going to push hard up the pitch. And if we're very clever about this, we could really hurt them on the counter. Just like last season, where we probably should have won. We ended up losing thanks to a last-minute real bad mistake from Lloris, causing an own goal. But if Sissoko takes his chance, we could have easily won that game. And if we take the same approach,
I say the same about Champions League final as well.
Oh yeah, Champions League final, exactly. Again, another game where we were probably could have easily won that game.
It was equal that game. Both teams were rubbish.
Yeah.
But then you even look back at the year before at Anfield, the 2-2 when Wanyama scored that goal in the last minute. I thought we were the better side that game.
Again, we should have won that game. If Kane puts that penalty away at 1-1, we probably win the game. Instead, we end up conceding a stoppage time and salvaging a draw.
Salah takes it past our whole team and cuts it.
Which is we got. Yeah, that was a ridiculous goal. So I'm cautiously optimistic that maybe we can get a result in this game. I know Liverpool are playing very well, are getting the results at the moment. But I don't think there's any reason to think that we don't have the quality to go there and assert our authority in the game and maybe sneak a result.
Look, of course we've got the quality, but it's just about confidence. Do we have the confidence? I think winning 5-0 against Red Star is great and everything, but obviously it is only Red Star and maybe their confidence will be up. But then if we go out to Liverpool and we concede in the first minute or the first 5 minutes, and that's our game plan out the window, and then what happens from there? Do you see us having the character of holding in there and keeping in the game?
That's what always happens at Anfield. We always concede in the first 5
but
minutes and always come back
our
in the
character
game.
and confidence is not always as fragile it is now.
That's true. That is true. But it does. Yeah, you're right. But it does happen very often. Every time at Anfield, I think for the past 3 or 4 years, we've probably conceded in the first 15 minutes.
I know that, but in the past 3 or 4 years, we've always gone in there with confidence, team spirit, never say die attitude. But we're not showing that in the Premier League at the moment.
We have to show it this game if we're going to get any sort of result. Because that's how there's a very strong possibility we will fall behind again quite early on. We're going to have to stick together and batten down the hatches and try and get something. You know, we did go down early again against Man City and end up getting a point.
Yeah, but like I said in the previous video, that was more to luck than anything. I think Man City on another day could have put 10 past us that day.
Yeah, maybe. But you know, you got to give credit to the defence when we repel those chances.
Yeah, but I just think Man City were very wasteful that day. A lot of point blank chances going over, going wide. Lloris made a couple of saves. I really don't think it was too much to do with the defence. I really genuinely think it was just luck.
No, there was a bit of luck happened, but I think we're good. But you don't end up getting a point always just from luck. You know, last season in the Champions League as well, a couple of away games, we had to really dig deep and win that point. Like for example, Dortmund away, we had to repel a lot of chances. Man City away, I know we conceded 4 goals, but we ended up staying strong right at the end, even though we kind of conceded, but VAR. So I don't know. It's a tough one. It's really. It's going to be a very tough game, but I think it's going to be a tight game. It won't be as one-sided as maybe people might think.
So what's your score prediction then?
I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to go for. I think we've drawn a lot of games 2-2 away from home this season, so I'm going to go 2-2 again. 2-2. Yeah, I think we might concede a couple of goals, but I think we have an armoury to hurt them going the other way. I'm really hoping Son and Kane, who are bang on form on Wednesday, continue in that vein. I really believe Son's the key, and if Lamela can have that energetic performance as well, break up those attacks that they're building up, chasing the fullbacks down, I think that could be the key.
Yeah. I don't know. My head and my heart are saying 2 completely different things. My head is just saying we're going to lose this game 2-3-1. My heart is saying 2 as well. So let's go with my heart just for a bit of positivity for We Are Tottenham TV for you viewers out there. So
we never go with defeat with this game. Not going to never predict.
I know, but I just can't. I can't see it. I just feel that.
I can see it.
I just feel that I think if Liverpool start the game strongly and we concede, I can just see us falling apart. I really can.
4-5-0.
Maybe not 4-5-0, 3-1, 4-1, something like that.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
But if something doesn't go wrong in the game, no VAR, no early goal, no stupid goalkeeping mistakes or defensive lapses in concentration, then yeah, we can get a result.
The annoying thing about Liverpool is what we see with them is what we could have been.
I know.
With just.
We've said it so many times. 3 years ago, we were better than them.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, it's a weird one because Liverpool are so far ahead of us at the moment because of how things have gone in the past year or so. But apart from last season, we've finished above them for 7 consecutive seasons before then.
It was 9 out of the last 10 years.
Something like that. And then all of a sudden, one season they're ahead of us. And all of a sudden they're very far ahead of us. No one would have said when we were finishing ahead of them that we were really far ahead of them. Everyone was saying Spurs probably a bit better than Liverpool, but then they finished above us one season and now they're streets ahead of Spurs.
Yeah, but it's facts. They are streets ahead of us, and I think that it's just a message to Daniel Levy of how to run the club basically, because Liverpool, they were kind of in a very similar situation to us when we were at the pivotal stage where they just needed a couple more positions to get to that next level. And what they did is they identified the best option in those positions and they went out and bought them all. And then the next season, that's when they didn't sign anyone, when their team was complete.
But what you have to remember with Liverpool as well, though, is they did try to get Van Dijk in the summer of in 2017. They tried to get him, and when they couldn't get him, they didn't go for plan B, they waited. They waited 6 months, and even though their defence suffered for those 6 months, they waited to get them, and they got their man in January. And is that a case for Spurs where I know it's a difficult one. For example, like people are saying we have to push the boat out and get signings, but if the
3 years ago.
yeah, but when sometimes when the signing you can't get him at that time, yeah, and sometimes you have to wait for that signing. But
They waited 6 months. We're waiting 3 years.
Yeah.
It's completely different. And you can't compare the situations. Liverpool's board went out there and got exactly what the manager wanted. Daniel Levy goes out there and gets like third tier of what the manager wants. You know what I mean?
But that's
Clive Allen comes out and said in his book, I don't know if you've seen, he's brought out a book.
Haven't read it, no. I know I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, he comes out and says, what's going on at Tottenham now stinks of what pretty much every other manager's been through. Harry Redknapp was going for the title, and in January he asked for Carlos Tevez, who was falling out with Man City at the moment, who was going for 25 million, and Gary Cahill, who was at Bolton, who was going for 7 million. Harry Redknapp asked them to go out and get those two players, and who did he come back with? Zaha and Ryan Nelson on free transfers, and that just says it all.
Yeah, but on the other flip side, what I would say is, I think more often than not, we have gone for the second or third rate option instead of waiting sometimes, because or instead of pushing about, obviously we know that, but we've spent a lot of money on these fringe players.
Well, yeah, we've spent
Kudu,
NG,
all these players, spent nearly 100 million on them, which could have been better spent. Is it like it's not like we haven't spent the money, it's just we spent it wrongly.
Well, we've been spending it in small parts as well. It's not like we're spending 50 million on a player here and he's been a dud. We're spending it in small parts, which can be said it's a safe transfer, but it's not really a safe transfer because they're
But when you spend 100 million on all those players,
you're spending 100 million on 7, 8, 9 players. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not good enough. Not good
no,
enough
but
whatsoever.
that's my point. That's the point. I'm saying he has invested, but I think he's concentrated it wrong. I think he's trying to be too clever.
The reason why he's spending it in these small parts is to keep the net spend down to zero. This summer is the only summer we've actually spent money under Pochettino, net spend wise.
I think he's still net spend is about 3 million apparently since he took over.
Exactly. So that also says it all.
And it's just Liverpool. That's kind of you're right. They targeted those positions, and now they're bearing the fruits. And it's just so frustrating that we could have been in that position.
Pochettino's been calling out for 3-4 years now to do this.
Because we were ahead of them in our process, and now they're ahead of us.
By a long way.
And it's going to take a massive effort to be catching up with them again. I don't know how we're going to manage that. If it's all possible for the next few years, we'll see. Do you reckon they're going to win the league this season? Or is there a long way to go?
It's a long way to go. I'm hoping they have a nice little collapse towards the end of the season because I love to see a Liverpool collapse. But if I had to choose who I want out of Liverpool and City to win the league, I choose City.
I think the Laporte situations probably helped Liverpool a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And City's defence is looking very fragile. If Liverpool's defence is also looking fragile, Man City's defence is looking way more fragile.
You look at Liverpool's squad though, and I know their best 11 is probably better than ours, no question about it. But who are their backups to Origi, to Salah, Mane, and Firmino? Not very good one. Yeah, it's Origi. Would Origi get into our squad? Probably not.
I think Origi will get on our bench for sure.
I don't know. Oh, maybe, but no.
I think Origi's a good player. I think he helped them a lot at the back end of last season.
For example, I think if you look at our bench and you look at their bench, potentially on our bench on Sunday we could have Lo Celso, Lucas, Ericsson, Winks. A very strong Premier League proof of Vertonghen, probably even. You look at our bench and then look at Liverpool's bench. Who would you say has a stronger squad? It's like you're comparing the first 11s, their first 11's better, but in terms of an overall squad, you could argue that Tottenham have more options.
We might have more options, but every single one of their options is now a Champions League winner. So look, it's difficult to say. I think in terms of a whole squad, including starting 11, I would say Liverpool have the stronger squad. I would. I think I don't think the names on the sheet tell the whole story, because when you're talking about players like Vertonghen and you're talking about their sub in Matip, is it Matip?
Joe Gomez probably.
Joe Gomez or Matip. I prefer to have either of those two than Vertonghen at the moment. So when you're talking about it on the face of things, is Vertonghen better than Matip? Most people would say Vertonghen, but because of the way he is at the moment, you would probably say the other two. So it's all relative in how the player is and how the form's going.
But for example, like, you know, they'll have like Shaqiri and Origi on the bench. We'll have Lo Celso and Lucas. Who would you prefer?
I don't know, because I haven't seen enough of Lo Celso, let's be honest. Shaqiri, I think, is a proven Premier League player. He's helped them in the past, Liverpool. Who's the other one you said? Origi as well. I think he's...
You prefer Origi to Lucas?
I don't know, but I think they're two different positions. I think Origi's more of like an up-top striker, out-and-out striker, when Lucas is more of a winger. But I think as a backup for Harry Kane, I'd rather have Origi than Lucas.
Yeah, but you know, Lucas has played up front quite a bit, and he played up front in the Champions League run, and he did very well in that role.
He did do very well, but I think Origi's also done well. Look at his performance against Barcelona last season.
I don't know about Origi. I don't rate him that highly. I know he scored a few poachers' goals, but I think he's just he was going for a golden period, and I'm not sure he's actually that good of a player. And if you look at this, he's actually had quite a few minutes. He hasn't done so well. I don't know. I feel like the basis of our squad is so strong that we just need to start getting things right, and then things can flow.
But again, like we said, it's not about the personnel you have a squad, it's about individual situations that make us poor. It's not the actual personnel that make us poor.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, but I'm saying my point is, if you compare the squads, I know that Liverpool has a much better starting 11, but I think we could have a real core basis to compete.
We could do, but when you look at it, at the end of the season, you're talking about Eriksen, Toby and Rose all leaving. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind if they didn't play another minute this season, those guys, but you don't have that kind of headache at Liverpool. That's the problem.
Everyone's happy, they won something, and that's what kept them together. You know, it's interesting, if we won the Champions League and Liverpool didn't, could they have been in a similar situation to us?
No, not at all. I don't think so, because they just came second with 97 points and they won the Champions League.
I'm saying if we had won the Champions League.
If we had won the Champions League, but they came second with 97 points.
And then for a second year in a row, finished in the Champions League final.
No, I think they would never be in the same situation. No way.
Because it would have been similar. It would have been a number of years without winning.
Yeah, but if you finish second on 97 points, it's just a case of you're good enough. You just need to go again.
And we've lost that, I think. We have
lost that.
We've lost that mentality.
We've lost the most games in the Premier League in 2019.
It's damning, that one.
And they finished second on 97 points. So it is what it is. Look.
All right.
Anyway, that's our match preview. Like, subscribe and comment below and tell us what you think the score is going to be. And as always, go on Spurs.